We're on Jones and Company, and we are speaking today with the President of the Trade Union Congress, the President of the Customs and Immigration Union, and now we have joining us the President of the Nurses Union, Jannah Khalfani. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
We were waiting for good company. Before you came, these two gentlemen, they told me of a litany of complaints from unions in the country, mostly unions in the public service. You are representing nurses in the country. You still have big issues. What are they?
You know, the Bahamas Nurses Union, we represent nurses in the Department of Public Health and nurses at PMH. Of course, we do have private nurses too that are a part of our union. The Department of Public Health, we have issues with nurses being hired and not being given specific terms and conditions of their employment. Examples, we have nurses that if you have cruise ships that have some issues on the cruise ships, like some outbreak, and they're on the Keys, the nurse travels along with the police and those other primary persons that need to go there, but the nurses are part of that crew. You would find that nurses were never told that this was a part of their job description. If anything happens to them, it's who will take care of their kids. Persons will say to me, well, the nurses have health insurance. But what is health insurance to a nurse when you cannot walk or, God forbid, you're dead? Okay, what is health insurance? Who takes care of that nurse's family, her children, you know, her other dependents that may be depending on her? Who takes care of these people? And like I said, besides, they have no idea that this is a part of their portfolio. Then you have nurses that are required to go on flight services. Again, they are not told that this is a part of their portfolio. God forbid the plane fall out of the air. Health insurance cannot help you when you're at the bottom of the ocean dead, or you crash land. Cannot help you if you're paralyzed for life. Who takes care of your children again and your dependents? Who takes care of them?
So if you're looking for an agreement from the government of the Bahamas, what is that agreement that you're looking for? Well, succinctly.
We would be looking for a larger some type of, well, I'm not really voiced on the insurance. I know what I want.
But you do have insurance now.
Well, we have insurance, health insurance now,
yes.
Which has a small life insurance to it of $20,000. All right. But we would definitely be looking for something for that particular service that's to be rendered, something very similar to because I understand that they do have something for the police that covers them and their dependents.
Some hazard insurance.
Have hazard insurance, right. I would like to look at that. That is what I'm doing presently. And looking at that. Because
is that your main concern, to have hazard insurance?
Well, we have to have hazard insurance for that, but for those particular services. Okay, if the services are needed and a nurse is needed, then let's cover that nurse properly. The Bahamas Nurses Union is not saying the nurse mustn't do it. We're saying let's do things in decency and order. Let's have her or he or him covered with some hazardous coverage, so that if anything happens that's detrimental, that person's nurse's family, their dependents, can go to college or finish, their studies and all that stuff.
Mr. President of the TUC, it could be said that you have been able to keep the lid on things, eh? That unions have been very patient and very considerate. When you speak with members of government or the senior officials dealing with labor matters, do they give you any encouragement at all that they're going to meet or that these issues would be resolved?
In a couple of instances, they have indicated that they are willing to meet. But for an example, the last meeting we had, the Prime Minister appointed himself, Bishop Neil Ellis, and Dr. Baltram Bethel, to deal with
as mediators.
As mediators, to deal with the nurses issue, to deal with customs issue, to deal with malt and salt. And
why malt and salt?
And sandals. That was the position taken by the government. Quite frankly, since that meeting, we haven't had another meeting.
How long ago was that?
It's about a little over 2 months now.
2 months?
Yes. Bishop Ellis met with sandals, but he never met with us. He never came back to us.
Why would Bishop Ellis have to be involved in this?
I don't know. I think the Minister of Labor and the Prime Minister saw fit for him to get involved. He went to the hotel. He had a meeting with the hotel. And based on what the hotel said in an affidavit, the hotel said that they were told by Bishop Ellis that there is no issue, nothing of concern as far as he is concerned.
What is the issue as far as you are concerned?
The issue as far as I'm concerned is that the officers of the union ought to be able to meet with management and to deal with a collective agreement and to be able to visit sites where they have accidents. They need to review it. They need to see what happened so that they can intelligently either agree or disagree with management over a situation. The workers' representative, Mr. Jones, must have access to the workers. The ILO, the National Labor Organization, insists that the workers must have access to their leaders. They're paying $10 a week, which is a lot of money. They expect to be represented, and nothing has happened. We haven't had a meeting since, so that tells you where we are. It's very difficult.
So as president of the Managerial Association, you are not allowed to go on property and have access to workers? Is that what you're saying?
As president of the Bahamas Hotel Managerial Association, I have access. Maintenance doesn't. The maintenance union. That's the problem. I think it's the only union in the Bahamas where the union officers can't meet their members, not to disrupt the business, but to set up a meeting with management and say, look, we're coming in, we are prepared to meet with you. They said, no, we want you to meet at the security gate. That is as far as they can go to date. If they try to go beyond that, that's going to be an issue. And we say, Mr. Jones, that is not the way for the labor movement to be moving.
Other hotels in the country have a similar position?
No.
It's
only hotel.
Sandals
is the only
the only hotel.
Only hotel. That would prevent you, an office of the union, from coming on property to meet its members.
So how long has this been going on?
About 3 years now.
3 years?
Yeah.
And you've not done anything about it for 3 years?
Well, that tells you that my colleagues have a lot of patience and they have some respect for me because I try to keep things on level. And when you see we have to do what we're now doing, it's to demonstrate to you we have no alternative. Absolutely no alternative. So we're going to take a stand.
In a difficult economic time in the country, I guess the average citizen would not like to see unions go out on strike.
Yeah.
Customs, immigration, nurses, hotel workers. You have been reasonable, you think?
Yes.
You are saying that the government itself has not been meeting your demands.
Yes.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
No, the only thing we can do is do with withdrawal labor.
Is to withdraw your labor.
That's the only thing left. Because they can't say, Mr. Jones, that we haven't been reasonable. I mean, they just can't say that. We have done everything that is reasonable. We try to meet. We say, if you can't do this, let's work something out. Let's work at a time schedule. They're not prepared to do anything.
But you know the Minister of Labor and National Insurance and Minister responsible for the public service, Mr. Gibson, personally.
Yes.
He has been a trade unionist before becoming a minister.
Yes.
Would you all say that the government then is not union friendly? Is that something that you are prepared to say?
Well, certainly, as it relates to our issues, the government is not friendly towards the issues that we are advancing. I mean, what do you say when we say to the Minister of Labor, could you assist us in accessing sandals? The minister said to us that he is a conciliator. Now, if the minister is saying he's a conciliator, where do you go? But the act says, if the minister summons me to a meeting and I refuse to come to that meeting, I got a problem. But the minister is saying he is a conciliator. And you know what conciliators do? They don't have no power. They can talk, they can discuss. But the act says the minister, even the trade dispute, it says at the bottom, if you don't show up, it's $5,000. So what's the point of the minister signing that if he's saying to us he doesn't have the power to deal with sandals?
So there are various systems that that government is not following.
Precisely. The government is the major offender of the
Industrial Relations Act.
Yeah. And that's the reason why, Mr. Jones, the employers don't have the respect for the government. Because where's the moral authority? If I'm thieving, and you know I'm thieving, well, I can't tell you, Mr. Jones, don't thief. And if you particularly know I'm thieving, where's the moral authority for the government to tell anybody? Customs, for example. I mean, I remember Mr. Clifford around, Clifford Darling, the late Sir Clifford Darling. I mean, Honorable Dalrule. These people used to call the parties together, set them in a room. When they reach an impasse, he put one in one room, he puts one in another room, and he's negotiating between both. And before the day is over, they get an arrangement that is in the interest of the country. The minister is saying to us, I'm not misquoting him, he said he's a conciliator. I said, well, Minister.
But that is what conciliation is.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we ain't getting that.
But you are saying that the government itself is the main offender of the Industrial Relations Act.
Yes.
Not observing the law.
Right. Right.
You've addressed matters before the courts.
Right.
And when the government itself doesn't observe laws and rules,
right,
you can address the court.
Yes.
Have you taken matters such to court?
Yes.
And what has happened?
As simple as a strike vote. As simple as a strike vote. You have a right. I have to take the government to court for strike vote. I won the case. But every time they fail to do that which they ought to do, I take them to court and we succeed. Now, obviously they get a little mad, they get a little angry because obviously I'm taking them to court. But I have to take them to court because if customs tell me they can't get this done, Madam President said they can't get it done, as a lawyer for the union and for the TUC, I can take them to court, just like we did to Sandals. They say they don't recognize the union. I had to go to Privy Council for it, but we got it. And the government hired Queen's Counsel, Mr. Jones. Said they can't say that they were not, they were for it. They can't say that. They hired Queen's Counsel, they hired a solicitor for everybody.
The government hired a Queen's Counsel to argue against you?
They argue against
the Privy Council?
At the Privy Council.
For Sandals?
For Sandals. So I'm saying to you, they can't tell me.
I can tell you like the Ackles people say, you story.
Well, Well,
is that true?
I can produce for you. I can produce for you
Yes.
a document that was signed by the Government Queen's Council, the lawyer for the Hotel Catering and Workers Union, and the lawyer for Sandals. They jointly signed a document telling the Privy Council, we are against this application and we would wish this application to be dismissed. So I'm saying to Mr. Jones, you think the government will hire, let's say you run a little difficulty here. And I got a problem with the government on certain things, to be honest here. And I want to say this to the Prime Minister, I mean, I didn't discuss it with you before. I see no reason why the Prime Minister and the government cannot give you, and this station, and you personally, but this corporation, certain gazetting that is done for other news network. I see absolutely, and I would want to face the Prime Minister and to face the Bahamian public. This station is doing a tremendous job in educating and informing Bahamians. And Prime Minister, would you be kind enough, your government, to consider giving this network or treat this network like we treat the other ones? I got a serious problem in this country when I see the way we tend to operate. They won't publish you on nonsense, I call it, and other people are in similar and worse situation and no remarks were made about it publicly. We as Bahamians, we are our worst enemy. So I'm asking the Prime Minister, do me a favor and do the Trade Union Congress a favor, do the workers of the Bahamas a favor. And this is a Bahamian entity, we'll make sure it work. And in order for it to succeed, it must be on even keel. Even keel. Don't treat me one way, and I got to face the same expenses, the same costs, and make it possible for another organization or organizations to be able to benefit. I want to make that point. I know you didn't ask me to do it.
Unless they tell you that I ask you to say something.
Yes.
And I'm not a part of the Trade Union Council.
Exactly.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you cussed me a couple of times.
But further on to what you're saying, talking about government fighting you, every step of the Customs Immigration Allied Workers Union path has been fought by the government. To move away from the Public Services Union, we had to go to court. Now the wishes of the people were to simply leave. We had to go to court. And who fought us? The government fought us.
The government fought you for leaving the Public Services
Union. To stop
Union.
us from leaving the public service.
Yes.
When it came to a simple strike certificate, the government sought to stop us with that.
And you are paying legal costs.
Of course.
Of course. And you're fighting the government.
Yeah. All of what we've done so far is fighting the government. Everything we're trying, as simple as asking them to obey the law. The employment, the first strike certificate we had, you know, was based on them breaching Section 4 of the Employment Act. They were fighting us even with that, even then.
What Section 4 of the Employment Act is all about?
More favorable terms and conditions of employment. They just simply can't take away what you have and give you less. And that is why we end up striking, on the same principle, and this is the government who's stopping us. So everything we've done so far has been, it's almost as if the government is saying, we do not wish you to leave Public Services Union. We have greater control over you if you stay hidden in that grouping. But an idea whose time has come, you can't stifle it.
Yeah. How united, yes?
And to add on to what Sloane is saying, what we are asking for, it's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
If you're not going to give promotions, you're going to give promotions every 10 years just about. Because the last promotion the Department of Public Health had was in 2006. I have nurses who have been in the service for 30 years and haven't gotten the first promotion as yet. And so
30 years.
30 years, right? They haven't gotten the first promotion as yet. And you're sitting down and saying, listen, we would like to have some concessions for these nurses then.
Yeah, but
you know, no, it's ridiculous as that, Mr. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is, yes. I can produce these people. I'm not talking out of my head.
If you've been working as a nurse for 30 years and you've not been promoted, something got to be wrong with you. Something
No,
got to be wrong with that nurse.
No.
If the nurse is
Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones
is an excellent nurse and goes about and is diligent, are you saying to me that that goes unnoticed for 30 years?
Yes. When promotions before, let me take, because I'm representing two segments here. PHA is a little more, they do things a little faster than Department of Public Health. They have, with the help of the union, have come up with a criteria, because nurses, when they came in, you were promoted on seniority. And as the COB came into play in terms of training the nurses were coming out with their associates instead of their diplomas. Now they're coming out with the bachelors. That's the entry levels now. Coming out with the bachelors. Okay? They saw the wisdom in formulating a promotional criteria. Okay? And that too, we'll have to keep policing that and fixing it as we go along. Because there's still those persons, those nurses who were under the seniority, what happened to them? They still exist.
Yeah.
Okay, some of them have gone back to schools. Mr. Jones, I have many nurses with 2 degrees, man. Okay? And still not getting paid a professional salary. Still can't go to the bank and get a loan, get laughed out of the bank based on the salary that they have. Cannot do it, cannot get a house through the bank. The salaries are not there. So, these are very serious issues. We're not, and like I'm saying, what we're asking for, even if I ask for a 35% increase, that will still not bring that nurse's salary up to a point that she can literally go in the bank and negotiate a house for herself.
Wow.
Cannot do it. So, this is I'm very passionate about it because I'm living it. I'm there with them. I am a nurse. I'm in the system, and I see my colleagues. And this is the things that we have to endure. And I need the public to know this. So when we do things, we're not being unreasonable.
Yeah.
We're not being unreasonable. We're asking for things that should have been existing from a long time ago. Be that as it may, we're asking for it now. Why fight me on it?
You're asking for fairness.
Fairness, why fight me on that? It's not making any sense to me. We had a big battle with the insurance. We have to battle for everything. What in the world is happening with my Bahamas? What's happening? Why am I fighting so hard for things that really should have been in place?
Okay, bring
I don't understand this.
All right, I hear you. I hear you. Before I call for water for you, let us take a break. We'll take this final break on the program. We'll come back.